Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Rachel and I am knitting. Not right now, but most of the time. And I have been knitting, so I'll tell you all about it. Today's video is episode 17 of my weekly podcast series, where I come on here and I tell you what I've been working on over the course of the past week. So buckle up, settle in, and let's get started. All right, so I have my notes in my knitting journal, as always. Before I started filming, I thought that this would be like a worthless thing to film because what could I possibly talk about that would be of interest to you? But then when I started writing down my notes, I got a full page worth of things to gab about. So, take it or leave it. Let's get into it. So I'll start with the first section of the podcast, as I always do, which is project updates. So welcome to the project updates section of the podcast. I worked monogamously on one project this week. Yes, I was a monogamous knitter. For those of you who find that to be very important, who find that to be paramount and, monogamous supremacy with your knitting experience, I joined your ranks this week. And I definitely see the value of monogamous knitting. However, it is not my it's not my normal practice, even though when I get a bee in my bonnet about a certain project, I do just, buckle in and buckle down, hone down. I do something with that project, basically exclusively, but I flit around. My attention goes from this to that to the other thing. So typically there's multiple projects that I'm working on, but this week that has not been the case. I have been exclusively working on my Miles shirt jacket. So last week when I was showing you this, I had the back panel and the front panel, one of the front panels complete, and that was it. But I am pleased to show you, let me just put these stitches, let me put an end stopper, or not an end stopper, like a piece of silicone tubing on my needles so the stitches are protected. But this is non-superwash yarn and the fabric is very stiff and structured because of my gauge, so you don't really need to worry about the stitches being lost, but better safe than sorry. But all that to say, dun 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 dun, here is an amorphous blob that, if you trust me, is a pretty substantially almost complete sweater. Ta-da! Okay, so this is the Miles shirt jacket. It is designed by Haley Smedley, aka Ozetta. It is written for an Aran weight yarn, knit on size US 10 needles. Not me, couldn't be me. I am knitting this on size 8 needles. So what is that, 5 millimeters, I believe? Whatever, you can look it up. You can fact check me. But I have completed the body of the sweater and I am working on the first sleeve. Now, there are some things about this sweater that I need to be very conscious of for the remainder of my making process, especially when it comes to time to block this garment. So, yeah. How can I explain this to you with my words? I can't. I'm just going to show you. All right, so behold, here it is on my body. As is my practice, what is going on with the fit? I'm going to, like I said, be very mindful when I'm blocking this, but when I was working on the back panel and the front panels, I was just simply convinced this would be a tent on me, and that was fine because that's what I wanted. That's what I was going for. I want this to be essentially a coat so I can wear it over a shirt or a dress that has a knit on top of it and then has this on top of that. So I wanted this to have positive ease. It still is going to, and I'm going but it's not a tent, obviously. But here's the deal. The edges here are rolled in on themselves, so it is a bit wider than it seems. Equally, the armhole edges are also rolled in on themselves quite a bit. So maybe, I don't know, the little screen is kind of far for me to see properly, but maybe on this arm it's more, it looks, I don't know, more positive ease. But certainly I want to be mindful of that when I block it out. Also, you'll notice the hem is very wanton to roll up. And that's not really what I want in the final product. After I finished the hem, I was kind of concerned because I was thinking, you know, maybe this is too tight. Maybe I shouldn't have gone down 2 needle sizes. I did knit the hem in a size 6 because in the pattern, the body is knit on size 10 and then the ribbing is knit on size 8. So I figured I would follow suit and go down 2 needle sizes. So anyway, I was thinking, man, is this too tight? Because it's cinching up, it's rolling up. See, like, look here. That's just simply, I want it like this over my baton, not like this. So you see the reason for second guessing. But I will say in the pattern, there's a note that says for the short rows to lay properly on the hem shaping, this does require a wet block. That's fine. I was going to wet block it anyway, but I was thinking, okay, so there is an acknowledgement of the potential of some, you know, improper laying, but is Ozetta talking about this type of improper laying specifically or what? But I scoured a few different project pages for this pattern on Ravelry, and many photos show this exact problem pre-block, and then there's photos of them pinning this down on the blocking mats, and the post-block garment lays flat and fine. So I'm moving forward with the cautiously optimistic knowledge that this will lay flat. This is just like a couple minutes of me just, you know, rubbing my thighs and backside. Subscribe. Okay, so there's the progress on the Miles shirt jacket. If you've been watching, you will know that originally I had the goal of finishing this garment in its entirety during my visit to my sister. That visit is quickly coming to an end, so I'm not sure if I will finish this in its entirety, but I think surely I'll be able to finish at least one sleeve. One sleeve and a full body, like, that's a win. I'm still going to work on it and get as far as I can, but, you know, if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. That's okay. It's not the end of the world. And I'm very happy with my progress. I think this will be perfect for my next travel opportunity this summer. So stay tuned for that. Yeah, so I'm really glad about this. Also, on the hem, the bind off is a tubular bind off. And in the pattern, it has the setup rows for the bind off where you slip one, knit one, slip one, knit one, and then you do that for 2 rows. And then you do the sewn bind off. And I normally skip the setup rows, but I have to say, I really like the look of having these setup rows on here. I'm really, really happy with the bind off and how it looks and feels. It just is like so cushy and thick and nice. So yeah, let me bring the camera closer up so I can see what's going on in the viewfinder just a little better. You were so far away. Hi, welcome back. Okay, so there's a progress on the Miles shirt jacket. I am happy with that. Yeah, very happy with that. So another thing that I'm going to be mindful of when I block it out is to just make sure that I'm stretching or maybe not stretching, but just guiding the join from the body to the sleeves to make sure that there's not this roll here. I really don't like the look of that. So just like kind of guiding it so it lays flat and how I want it to lay in the final final garment. So there's the update on the Mile shirt jacket. It's been a great pattern. We'll see what the final result is, but I have another sweater quantity of this yarn. This is Aran 3-ply knitting wool from Kerry Woolen Mills in Ireland. It is definitely a rustic wool. It is rougher than what you will be used to if you're used to using merino. This is not merino by any stretch of the imagination, but it is so like structured, so it's a workhorse. It wants to make a beautiful piece, and I think that's what's happening here. I don't think I would pick something directly against my skin. In fact, my skin has been a little irritated while I've been working with this yarn, but I've also been spending quite a bit of time knitting outside, so I'm not sure if my arms get itchy because the yarn is on them or because I'm getting bug bites, basically. Like teensy little microscopic bug bites, I don't know. But like doing this doesn't feel irritating. It feels exfoliating, and it makes me wonder if maybe I should make a washcloth out of this because yeah, dead skin cells don't stand a chance. So yeah, there's the progress on that. What was I saying? Oh, I was going to say that I have another sweater quantity of this yarn in a green color. Like a green tweedy color where the tweed bits are colorful. It's called Green Fleck. You can find it on the Kerry Woolen Mills website. But I do have another sweater quantity, and if this turns out well, I want DJ to try it on and see if it fits him also, because it'd be nice to make him one if he likes that. But I don't know if the Green Fleck would make his heart sing the same as another color, so maybe I'll have him look at the colors on the Kerry Woolen Mills website, and I can see what I see when I go visit in October. But if what I see in my mind becomes what I see in reality, this will be a great piece for really cold days, of which we get a few in South Louisiana, believe it or not. In the wintertime, when we are graced with a cold front, it is quite cold because it's still quite humid. So it's like, in the summer, it's like walking around in hot soup. In the winter, it's like walking around in ice water because there's so much moisture in the air. So all that to say, I think DJ would get use out of a coat like this. If for nothing else, he could wear it on future knitting tours. So there you go. Mile shirt jacket. I'm liking it so far, and I'm not opposed to making another, but we will see. We will see how I feel after it's done. But that's all the project updates I have for you. I didn't work on anything else knitting-wise. I did bring my Oslo Hat Mohair edition around with me in my purse, but I didn't knit on it at all. We went to Dollywood this weekend. I had the Mile shirt jacket to knit on in the car for the rides to and fro, and I had the Oslo Hat Mohair edition in my purse, but didn't end up working on it at all whatsoever. So really have been a monogamous knitter. It's nice. It's nice, but I don't know if it will be my practice moving forward, but it has been enjoyable over the course of the last week. So thus concludes the project updates section of the podcast. I will now move into the spin diary. So welcome to the spinning section of the podcast. I don't have much to tell you, except maybe I do, because I think I don't have a lot, and then I just keep yapping. So allow me to yap about spinning. The first update I have for you is in regards to my spinning siren box. To jog your memory, I purchased this box from the Spinning Siren, fully purchased it with my own money, and there have been some issues with this box. First of all, last week on the podcast, when I was showing you how this box works in the first place, I was removing the e-spinner, and two of the pegs that hold the e-spinner onto this base broke. So I emailed Lena of the Spinning Siren to let her know, and I asked her if she had any options for me or recommendations to navigate these missing pegs. She let me know that this was a problem they encountered with the larger boxes for the EEW 6.0, which is a larger e-spinner from Dreaming Robots. It's bigger than this, which is the Nano. She let me know that had been an issue with the boxes for that version of an e-spinner. So they've since updated the design to have screws in the base instead of 3D printed pegs. But she said they've never had the issue with the Nano. So she said that I could either put screws into the base in lieu of pegs, or they could reprint it for me. So I did opt to have it reprinted. And then since that email exchange, the other 2 pegs have broken off of this base. So you can see these are where the pegs go, these 4 sections here. And when they were on, they did secure the e-spinner wonderfully. But now, obviously, there's nothing to secure the e-spinner from moving around. So I will be getting a reprint of this base. The drawers will not be included, so I'll just transfer these drawers to the new base when it's printed. I've saved the pegs. You can see maybe how this is just a small little guy, and it's basically shaped just like a screw would be if you had a screw going into the base. So I may screw into this while I'm waiting for the new base to arrive. I'm not sure yet, but I just wanted to give you that update. In my experience contacting them, the response has been very helpful and very kind, and I'm really appreciative of that. So thank you to Lena and team at Spinning Siren for helping me out. I really want this base to work for me, so I'm glad that they are supportive of making sure that that will happen. I also have since emailed them since the other 2 pegs broke off. Other 2 pegs broke off, and I said, hey, just wanted to update you since we chatted, like all 4 pegs are now broken, so use that information how you will. If that might impact you updating the design for the Nano boxes and including screws in there as a default design option now, just wanted to let you know. So waiting on a new base, and yeah, the box is certainly still helpful in that it is going to protect my spinner on the way home, but it's kind of a bummer that I can't really use it now to secure the e-spinner because I didn't bring my estate sale clamps that I was using before I purchased this base and box. So using my e-spinner is not really an option right now without some headache because it just kind of slides around. But with that said, I did suffer the headache of using the e-spinner without a functioning system to hold it down, and I started spinning up some of my dark purple Corriedale. This Corriedale is from the Woollery, and it's going really nicely. I am kind of, I don't know, fascinated is not the right word, but I'm intrigued at the difference between fibers. Like the Corriedale that Tina sent me and that I spun up between Eelliot Stapler and Spinelli, my spinning wheel, feels different than this Corriedale. Not like night and day, but I feel like if I was spinning this with my eyes closed, I would know this was not the previous Corriedale I was working with. So it's kind of interesting to see my progress as a spinner, to have that, I don't know, reference point like ingrained into my fingers and my brain. I didn't even know that had happened. I didn't even know, but I can feel this spinning, and I can feel it going through my fingers and drafting it, and I know like this is different. This is not the same fiber. I don't know why that is. Is that like, do fibers feel different from sheep to sheep? Do fibers feel differently after they've been dyed? Like, is that the reason? Is because there's dye in this fiber? I don't know. Just an interesting, cool thing that I wasn't aware of until I was aware of it. So I might spin a little bit more today when my nephews and niece are, I don't know, in a mood to see it. I kind of want to show them a little bit more, because when I tried to show them, I was working with the Bella Studio fiber and I was having issues with my bobbin, and it just like the stars weren't aligning. So I think now that I've got a good amount of fiber on the bobbin and I don't know, it's going smoothly, I can try again to show them and see what they think about this whole spinning, I don't know, world. See what they think. So that's the update on the spin diary. I really don't know what I was thinking for this trip. I packed 5 knitting projects plus 8 ounces of Corriedale plus the Bella fiber. Like, what was I thinking? I don't need all this junk, but I packed it nonetheless. So, yeah. So maybe I'll get some spinning in today to at least make it worth my while to have packed so much spinning tools, fiber, ephemera. Yeah. Okay, so there's a spin diary. Let's move to the acquisitions section. I can never say the word acquisitions properly on the first try. Okay, so the acquisition section, nothing. Didn't buy anything, didn't get anything, nothing. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about goals for the week. So for my goals for this week, I want to finish the Miles shirt jacket. Now remember, that doesn't necessarily mean I finish it on the trip, but just between today and next week's podcast, I would love to have the Miles shirt jacket finished for you. I would also love to have the lento finished for you. I can see it from here, from where I'm sitting, but it's about 5 steps too far for me to have the willpower to get up and get it. But if you don't remember, I'm working on a lento sweater, and I lost yarn chicken with my fingering weight yarn on this trip, and it's waiting for me at home, that final skein to wind up. If I had remembered to pack it, the lento would have been done by now, but you know, instead I packed 12 ounces of fiber that I can't possibly spin on this trip. So whatever, you win some, you lose some. I'd love to finish the lento this week. Once I get home, I'll wind that fingering skein into a cake. There's 10 rows of ribbing left and then a sewn bind off. Knock that out in my sleep. So by next week's podcast, I would love to show you a finished Miles shirt jacket, a finished lento, and those are the only 2 goals I have. Everything else is just an additional joy to experience. So 2 goals, Miles shirt jacket and lento. Okay, so now let's move on to a new section of the podcast. This is maybe an isolated section. I don't know if this will be a repeat section every week, or maybe it will just be some weeks, but I'll tell you that I want to talk about some pattern ideas. Last week, I showed you my haul from Hook and Needle, aka Maryville Yarn Studio, for Knit in Public Day. I got a lot of goodies. I got 4 skeins of this purple Surrey from Clockwork Fiber Co. And then I also got 6 skeins of this fingering weight base from Cesium Yarn. This colorway is called Creator of Beauty, and it's from the Cabin collection, which is a collaborative collection I did with Cesium Yarn based on my family cabin. So, two different colors of beautiful purple, one on a Surrey base and one on a fingering weight base. This is from Clockwork Fiber Co., based out of Connecticut. I didn't mention that. Sam is one of my dear friends, and I just love her yarn. So last week I asked you for recommendations. I got, I think, 1 or 2, but you guys weren't helpful. You didn't help me. You didn't tell me what to do. So I had to think for myself, which I just hate. So here's a short list that I've compiled of ideas of what I might knit these 2 colors up in. One option, of course, would be to hold them together. They do not look half bad together. However, I've decided I don't think I'm going to do that. So let me go through my options. The first option just goes back on what I said, which was that I'm not going to hold them together because this first option is holding them together, but I'm probably not going to do it. So just spoiler alert. But the first option is the Elton by Hoki Locatelli. It's a cardigan that has striping, except it's instead of contrast colors, it's contrast yarns. So you use, in her pattern, it calls for a fingering weight single and a mohair. So that would be really cute in these two colors because the lace weight stripes would be a little bit more sheer, whereas the fingering weight stripes would not be. So that's an option. But looking closer at that pattern, it's a drop shoulder cardigan. And I feel like I need to know more about my body and what I like my body wearing to like fully assess if a drop shoulder cardigan is where I want to go, if that's the direction I want to move in. But that's one option that I found. The second option is Cottage by Jackie Slack. And it would call for fingering weight. So I would just use Creator of Beauty by itself for that. I think it would be a wardrobe staple. It would be really pretty, really light and delicate. And when I was looking at the pattern page for Cottage, I was so impressed. But I don't think I should be impressed, but I was. I was so impressed that within the pattern photos, there's a full page schematic. And the schematic includes the measurements from the shoulder seam to the armpit. I feel like this is a non-negotiable for me moving forward. If a pattern is going to be, I don't know, worth my trust to buy that pattern, and of course I reserve the right to change my mind, whatever, like the schematic needs to be up front and center before I purchase a pattern. You have got to show the schematic, people. Like it is, for me, such a low baseline to have a schematic in the first place. If your pattern doesn't have a schematic, what are you doing? Second of all, the schematic should be visible before the pattern is purchased. I just feel like that is not too much to ask. I should be able to see what the measurements are going to be if it's going to work for my body before I purchase the pattern. That's a baseline, I feel. And then thirdly, the schematics need to include the measurement from your shoulder seam to your armpit, especially for plus sizes. It has to happen. If it's not there, I don't really want to waste my time. Now, again, that's nuanced. I have a lot to learn about my body and what I want to put on my body. Like, if you've been around here, you know that there's been a lot of trial and error going on. So, okay, take it with a grain of salt. But right now, I feel like scorched earth, so frustrated with patterns and so frustrated with not being able to see or like visualize or conceptualize how that pattern is going to fit on my body. Not to say a pattern designer should cater to me or like, obviously they're not going to know a billion people's, preferences. That's not what I'm saying. But to be an informed consumer, those are things that I'm now looking for to make sure that what I'm purchasing is going to work for me, or at least I can purchase knowingly what this pattern is going to do. Because seeing pattern photos is important, but it's only one step of the process of someone knowing how a pattern is going to lay or fit or what the dimension should be. So all that to say, the Cottage by Jacqueline C. Slack, having a schematic within the pattern photos, not having to purchase the pattern before seeing the schematic, and having the schematic have that very important measurement of shoulder to armpit, amazing. I want to buy that pattern and like give her my money just for that, because like I feel like that is such a low bar. Why don't all patterns have that? Like, to me, I feel like that is a new standard, at least that I'm looking for. Yeah, so, not to say like I would not purchase a pattern that didn't have those things, but I feel like now more than ever, I see the value of that, and I'm really, really impressed by that. but I also think it should be the standard that every pattern has. I don't know. Okay, so Cottage by Jacqueline C. Slack. That's an option. Another option would be LYS for the Creator of Beauty. It's a fingering weight cardigan by Andrea Mowry. It is, I think, raglan based on the photos, and it has like a nice lace detail on the panels. So that would be cute. I don't know how much I would modify it because the pattern calls for negative ease, like negative 2 inches of ease to positive 2 inches of ease. So I don't think that's going to work for me with a cardigan because then it's going to make the buttons bunch. And if you've been around here, you know that's like barf me to death material right there. I'm not interested in that. I want a nice, you know, unbunched button band where my buttons aren't going to pop off and, you know, projectile into somebody's brain and kill them. So anyway, this would be a great option for this fingering weight yarn. However, I would not do negative ease, so I might modify it a little bit. Yeah. Also, funny story about LYS by Andrea Mowry. I always thought that it stood for a local yarn store and that Andrea Mowry was like doing a head nod to, you know, our industry. But then my sister was like, it stands for Little Yellow Sweater. So what do you think? Is there a right answer? I'm sure if I read the pattern page, I would learn immediately. But what do you think when you see LYS by Andrea Mowry? Do you think Little Yellow Sweater or local yarn store? I thought local yarn store. Local yarn store. That's what I thought. That's where my brain goes. Where did your brain go? Let me know in the comments. All right, next option would be The Felix by Amy Christoffers. Now, this is kind of a plot twist, and in fact, the next pattern is also because I wouldn't be holding these two together. I would totally nix that, make its own thing, but hold the Surrey of Fairy Thimbles with the DK weight sweater quantity I have at home of this same color. I have a sweater quantity of Fairy Thimbles at home, which is what this Surrey base is. So holding the Surrey with the DK to make the Felix, that's a really pretty sweater cardigan. I've seen a lot of people have it in their wardrobe and it seems like it would be a great staple. It has really fun raglan details to make it like a little lacy, little eyelets on the raglan seams. And one of the things I'm thinking with holding the Surrey with the DK is the pairing of the lace with the, is it merino? I don't think it's merino. It's non-superwash American wool. It might be Rambouillet. I'm not sure. I don't remember. But the plying is considerably more manageable when you pair a fuzzy lace with a non-fuzzy yarn. I saw this from a reel that the Wandering Flock posted way back when, a while ago, I don't remember, but it just stuck in my brain. And I do have a sweater from Treehouse non-superwash yarn that plies a lot. So I am thinking that pairing the Surrey with the non-superwash Fairy Thimbles I have at home will be a good idea. So the Felix is an option. Also an option is the Mastiha, I think that's how you say it, by Thea Coleman. That's a worsted weight cardigan as well. So I would hold the Surrey with my DK weight sweater quantity at home. The Mastiha is a really pretty cardigan that has also lace detail, but it's on the bottom of the body, or it might be all the way up the body. I can't quite remember. But two really good options, I feel, for Fairy Thimbles. I'm really liking the idea of Creator of Beauty being a cardigan in and of itself. I have 6 skeins of this, so I could make it work as just a fingering weight cardigan held by itself, or a DK weight cardigan by holding it double. So, but those are just some ideas. That's the short list I came up with a few clicks around Ravelry. And yeah, if you have anything you think would be just perfect for either of those colors, let me know. I certainly haven't settled on a pattern. I don't know when I'll cast on. My yarn wall at home is essentially like planned projects, and I'm trying, even though it's just so hard, I'm trying to work through yarn that I've had projects planned for. Like, it feels disingenuous to me to plan so many projects and put them up on my yarn wall and say, this is what I'm going to make with that, and this is what I'm going to make with this. And then new yarn comes on the scene and I'm like, forget you guys, I'm casting this new other project on with this new yarn. Even though I do it all the time. I know this is like, we joke about it, but I don't know. Sometimes I just feel a little sad for my older skeins. Like, I don't know, they need some, I need to make good on my promise to them, you know? I don't know. They don't care. They're skeins. They don't have any, they can't think or feel. But I still feel a little bad, you know? Yeah. All right, so let's move on to the next section, which is announcements. I have 2 announcements for you. One of them is sensational. The other one is kind of boring. Which one do you want to start with? All right, we'll start with the sensational one. I have decided I am going to frog my cowl cardigan. Yeah. I was wearing this at the beginning of the podcast, but then took it off to show you the Miles shirt jacket. But I will be frogging this. The reason is I put it on the other day and I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror and my heart just sank. Like, I just didn't feel good with what I saw. This is not the pattern for me. At least this is not the size of this pattern for me. It's just, it doesn't make my heart sing, and I want my heart to sing when I put on something that I've made for myself, you know? So I am going to film an FO diary about this pattern, about my feelings on it, my process of it, would I recommend it or not, and why or why not. And after I film the FO diary, I will be frogging this. So some of you commented a few videos ago asking for me to film the process of harvesting yarn from a finished object, so I will be doing that for you, and you'll be able to see my process of doing that, not necessarily the right or wrong way, but just how I do it, if you'd like to get some ideas of how to approach frogging your own knits to harvest the yarn. But this will be going bye-bye. So really sad, really disappointing, because I was so excited to have this yarn to wear, and what it became is just not something that I feel good wearing. So I'm going to honor that feeling and turn this yarn into something that I am so happy to put on my body versus something that I feel obligated to put on my body, if that makes sense. So I will be frogging the cowl cardigan. There's your sensational announcement. Now the boring announcement. Sign up for my email list. Not really boring, I don't know. But I want to be more active on maintaining an email list. I have some exciting things coming down the pipeline. And if you'd like to be the first to know, whether that is the next knitting tour that you might want to sign up for, or just everyday things that I want to communicate via newsletter. If you want to be part of that, go ahead and add your name and email. There's a Google form in the announcements section of the video description box where you can add your name and email and be on the email list. So that's it. 2 announcements, 1 sensational, frogging, 1 boring, email list. So to sum up today's podcast, I've worked a lot on the Miles shirt jacket. I've got, you know, my butt's on fire about schematics, and I'm gonna frog this little ditty here. So that's all I have for this week's episode. I hope you liked it. Oh, actually, I have another announcement. Next to the Google form for signing up for the email list is also a Google form to submit video requests or ideas for videos. So if you have something you'd really love to see, click on that Google form and let me know. You can leave your name if you'd like to be credited, or it can be totally anonymous, whatever works for you. So there. Now officially, that's all I have to say, at least for this week. As you know, I have a lot of thoughts, a lot of opinions, a lot of feelings, and I will continue to share them with you on a weekly basis. So thank you so much for tuning in. It means a lot to me. You're helping me grow my channel, and I don't know, it's validating and fun, and I'm having a great time hanging out with you on these weekly videos, as well as the other videos that I upload on other days besides Tuesdays. Yeah, okay, great, awesome, wonderful. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Stay cool, stay hydrated, especially if it is summertime where you are and it's getting hotter and hotter. It is for me, so don't forget to drink water and be nice to yourself and others. All right, so if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you don't already, and hit that notification bell to be notified of my next upload. Last but not least, head over to Instagram and follow me at Rachel is Knitting if you don't already. Okay, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.